Hi, I'm Casey Bell, and you're watching Writer to Writer Interviews. Hi, I'm Casey Bell, and you're watching another episode of Writer to Writer Interviews. I had the honor of speaking with Lauretta and Michael Kehoe. They are the writers of the book A Dream of Dragons. I had the chance to speak with them and find out what inspired them to chase their dreams. Let's listen. You wrote A Dream of Dragons to fulfill a reading need for yourself. Were you a writer prior to this, or was this your first time writing?
I actually wrote a lot of short stories. I actually wrote a story for this one about 30 years ago when my son was born, and I had tried publishing these short stories and had not gotten any traction, but I put it aside when I went through difficulty in my life and then just started taking it back up again in 2016. But this is my first novel.
Okay. All right. So being this was your first book, well, now I see it's not your first book, but was this this was your first novel? What encouraged you or to believe you could write and publish this book?
Michael, you want to tell him what with Jody, how you...
What I had done in my life and my career is I'm a comedian, wannabe actor and writer, and I wanted to get back into stand-up comedy, and I had a monologue idea. I also do a geriatric Elvis comedy routine. So I met with this one comedian. Her name is Jody Miller, Jodi Miller. Her comedy is a little, well, very blue. But anyway, she meets with other people, tries to help them out. Long story short, when she was here in Vegas, we saw her show. I met with her the next day, and she just told me, you need to do this, And I came out of there all fired up. And the secret that I have, that I try to pass on to people, is just you need to get out there and do it. If you're dreaming, we all have dreams, right?
Right.
When you're dreaming, you're not doing anything. There's no action being taken. So when I turn my dreams into goals, I came out of there and I said, I'm going to make this happen. I didn't know how, I didn't know why, I didn't know. I just was determined. I'm not going to stop until I make this happen and turn it into reality. So that's what did it for me. Next thing I know, I'm doing this Elvis. I had a costume made. I'm doing the Elvis real good. So I said, well, I started taking singing lessons. She had the idea of the book, and I helped her with that. And I was like, well, we better start taking writing lessons.
But to answer the question, what prompted me is when Michael started doing this, I thought, wait a minute, I want to see if I can write a book. And so it was his encouragement to do his dreams that helped me to follow mine.
So you had, I guess you can say you had support.
I had support.
So that's very key, because I know there's a lot of people out there who have dreams, but unfortunately they don't have the support. They have I actually was watching a webinar, a marketing webinar, and the person doing it introduced herself, and she started out doing event planning, and she started her own business. And she said one of her cousins, the one she respected the most, told her no one would want you to do their event for them. And she felt discouraged because this was the person that she respected, a family member who she was letting her know, I'm going to start a event planning business. And instead of encouraging her, she kind of discouraged her. But thankfully, she went ahead and did it anyways, and she became wealthy off of this business. And
wow.
Yeah, so she tells her story before she gets into the marketing to show people she has experience marketing. But it's sad that a lot of people do have dreams, and unfortunately they don't have that support system that says, well, try it, And so I've asked all the writers this question, is what encouraged you to write? Because a lot of writers are not, don't have the degree to write. Most publishers and most authors don't have the degree, but they do it anyways. Unfortunately, in the whole American dream system, most people don't live their American dream because they've been told, just get a job and accept what you're given and don't try to go after what you want to do. And so I'm glad both of you chose to follow your dreams.
Well, see, and that's the difference, though. Where once I had a goal, you're going to run into obstacles, and you're going to have plenty of people that tell you exactly that, you know. And when you're dreaming, those are dream killers, right? They come and steal your dream. I'm not dreaming anymore. I have a goal. You know what I'm saying? And when I have a goal, nothing's going to keep me from that goal. That's, for me, was the difference. That's how I approach it in my life. Fortunately, I have a very supportive wife, but you know, if I did that, I didn't have to have that. It was wonderful to have, and is one, you know, but I have a goal, because I'm going to run into a lot of other people, and I have, that they don't like what I'm doing or whatever. I'm like, I don't care. I got a goal. So that's important.
And the support was not only why Michael is on this interview with me is because when I started writing this book, I asked him to read it. And he said, well, you missed some things here. You could put some things there. And I said, go ahead and put in what you think should be in there. And he ended up writing the book with me. So not only did he support me in writing the book, he's my partner in writing the book.
Good, good. That's the way it should be. So I read your bio, and you said you help others publish their books.
Mm-hmm.
Give us 3 tips for those who might want to publish a book. 3 things you learned in your journey that you might want to.
Number 1, don't give up. Number 2, keep trying different avenues. If you have to go self-publishing. And number 3, get help with your book. Don't just write a book and publish it. Get help with grammatical corrections, editing, beta readers. The best thing you can do is to be professional about it.
All right. So what do your children have said about you publishing books, and did they read it, and what were their reactions?
My daughter read it, and she was one of my beta readers, as a matter of fact, and she was very thrilled with it. None of my other children have read it. We have 5 between the 2 of us, but my daughter was a big support for it. Our other daughter, I'm trying to think, I think she did read it, but she didn't have any comments on it. And the boys, they're happy for us, but they're boys.
Okay. And just a question not off topic. Was this, how was it published? Self or?
Well, originally it was published with a company called Tate Enterprises, which was it was a big Christian publisher, and it was what they call a hybrid, where we paid like $3,000 for the marketing, and then they paid for all the printing. Unfortunately, the CEO and the founder of the company were embezzling funds and were arrested, and the company went under.
Okay.
The second time that we're publishing it, we are publishing it with Gabriel's Horn Press out of Minnesota. So it is published with, it's a smaller publishing company, but much more service to it.
And it's a regular publisher.
And it's a regular publisher.
We're not paying them to publish.
Exactly.
You know, so,
It's a traditional publisher.
It's funny because when I tell people about publishing, I tell them about the original way of publishing, as far as submitting and getting them to publish for you. And then I tell them about self-publishing. I never tell them the middle way because I haven't experienced it. And I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying I haven't heard positive feedback yet about paying for someone to, and like I said, I'm not saying it doesn't work, because I'm sure there is a company out there that does, but I'm still waiting to hear that good advice about doing it the middle way.
I would say no, because we found out that there were thousands of authors and musicians, because they also published music and CDs. And they had thousands of authors and musicians, and many of them got taken.
Wow.
And our book is literally to this day being sold all around the world.
Yeah.
And we don't get a dime.
Oh,
So,
wow. From them?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So we lost control of it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
You know,
okay.
we have no control. We have no way of knowing. That's why we redid the books, so it's not exactly the same. One of the reasons, and then we're publishing this version of that book. You know, so hope you know where we have control of you know who's buying it and you know getting our royalties and so on. So.
Right. So, name an author, dead or alive, that you would like to have lunch and conversation with, and why?
There is one right now that I would love, who's alive, and I actually took a class with him and was encouraged with an email from him. His name is Ted Decker, and he's a Christian author who writes very dark stuff, and which is what I tend to lean towards. And I would love to sit down and talk to him about how he deals with that.
Okay.
So that would be one.
For
You
me, it would be Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. I'm a big Sherlock Holmes fan. It's funny when you said, I was thinking it'd be either that or Ray Bradbury, because I read both of them growing up. So I mean, you know, you got science fiction and you got detectives, but yeah, it would definitely be Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. He just had a great way. He you know, as you may or may not know, the stories were published in a magazine in little pieces, and you know, so in that little space of time, he could say so much, and that's what I loved about it. He draws you in, and you're in, you know. So that's a real skill that he had. So.
I like, well, that was, I guess you can say, one of my problems in English class was I can say everything I needed in a short period of time, but the teachers, I never could make the amount of pages the teachers wanted. So, but
and now they encourage that to be more succinct. So.
yeah. Well, I mean, I always feel like if you need that many pages to say what you need to say, then use it. But if you don't, I never understood why they forced a certain amount. I can understand if I handed in 2 pages, but if they said like 10 pages and I stopped at 8, I'd be like, oh darn, now what do I do? And I would usually just repeat what I said for 2 more pages, and then I would get a C, and on there would say you repeated what you said. Because you told me you needed 10 pages. Hey, are you a writer, a songwriter, a playwright, screenwriter, author? You write articles, poetry. If you're a writer, I want to sit down and talk with you. Go to my website, authorkcbell.com, and click on Writer to Writer interviews for more information. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this message.
When a naked, helpless woman washes up on a beach in Florida, Henry Williford reluctantly agrees to help her. He calls her Anne and is amazed at how quickly she learns to become a woman. As they seek to find answers to Anne's elusive past, every night Anne is plagued by dreams of golden dragons that soon become nightmares of black dragons, fire, and death. But they're just dreams, aren't they? When Anne's uncle appears, she gains the knowledge she sought, but at a horrible cost, and with the need to make a terrible choice. A Dream of Dragons. Available on Amazon.com. For more information, visit Lauretta, Kehoe.com.
And we are back. Let's get back into the conversation.
How have you found the authors that you've been interviewing? Has it been encouraging for you as an author?
Yes, I found them through Facebook. Wait, did I do Craigslist? I think Craigslist, Twitter, and yes, I mean, so far I enjoy this because you get to, even though, how do I say, publishing a book is the same, it's still not the same, and every author has their own story. Every author has their own journey of how they started writing, how they found writing to be a joy to them, and why they're writing, etc. And so I find it's I guess you could say educational for me. I also, being in the world of art and then also being in the world of writing, I find that the professionals have a habit of saying this is the right way and this is the wrong way. And I understand the foundation as far as writing, commas, grammar, whatever. But sometimes they say things like, oh, you should never start a book out with this word, or you should never start it out with this type of phrase, or you should never do this and you should never do that. And I feel like writers and artists should be free to present their work as unique as their fingerprints are, and that there is technically no wrong way of doing it. There's just a different way. And if you don't personally like it, that doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means that piece of work is just not for you. And it's okay, because not everything is going to be for you. And so in doing this, I realized everyone has a unique story of how they started writing, the way they write. No one writes exactly the same. And so this has been helpful for me. And also learning more about the publishing. Like I said, maybe one of these days I'll hear someone who's done it the middle way and it came out good. But there's another one. It starts with an X. I don't remember the name of it, but another publishing company starts with an X.
Oh yeah, something like X Infinity or something like that.
Something. And I
I've
haven't seen any good reviews from the authors from them either. And they do the same thing. You pay them and then they do all the work for you. But I see I haven't seen a good review, I'll just put it that way, from authors I know who've done it. So I'm still, like I said, the first way and the third way I know work well because I know authors from both, but I still have yet to find that middle ground, but one of these days. But I like to hear everyone's experience because that helps you know more. And it also, for me, when people ask me questions, I can say, well, I didn't try it this way, but I know someone who did, et cetera, et cetera. So I am enjoying this.
The one thing I will tell you is that in all the writing classes, like Michael said, we started doing things and then we took the classes to learn how to do them. You know, he started acting, then he took acting classes. We wrote the book, then we took writing lessons. But the one thing I've learned from all of the different classes I've taken is that all the rules go out the window with good writing.
Right.
Like J.K. Rowling, she broke a lot of the rules that they'll teach you, but you can't question her success.
Right. Exactly. I mean, just about everybody knows her name now. And even if you're not a child and you never read her books, you still know her name. And I think that's what people don't understand, is that what you may think is the right way, if some audience doesn't like that, then you've just stopped an audience from reading.
That's right.
You know, and everyone should have the right to read something. And so off the subject, how prior to the pandemic, how often did you go out touring as Elvis?
Whenever I could get work. So actually this time of year we normally have the Senior Idol, which is a big event that I look forward to, and they look forward to having me. So I usually do really good there. But again, everything's on lockdown, you know. So yeah, where I'm at the stage now where everything's my acting career, my Elvis career, all this is ready to take the next. It's funny because I was getting ready to leave my day job to go do this full time because I have a movie contract. And 2 weeks before I was going to leave, they put me on furlough. And I'm like, okay. So you guys realized I was going to walk away. You know, like, so now I'm getting that, you know, which is nice. I'm getting paid to sit home, but everything's locked down here. So I've actually been working on teaching myself to do voiceovers. And I've been, with other people's help and stuff like that. I'm getting a lot of requests for voiceover work. And it's kind of like anything else. It's like I can do it, but now I've got to learn how. I'm doing everything backwards like I've always done. So that's what I'm really doing. But I'm looking forward to. I reached out to the people that made Elvis's costumes. They're going to make my costume because I designed my own. So it'll fit right, and then I'm going back out here to Vegas to really light it up as soon as we get the green light.
That's good. That's good. So I've heard it said many times before that successful people, if someone says, hey, can you do such and such, they'll say yes, even if they can't. and then they'll go find out how to do it. They'll figure it out.
Exactly.
And so most people do it that way. I mean, I've done that before. I've told someone, oh, sure, I can do that. And then I just went online and figured it out and sent it to them. And they're like, oh, wow. And I don't know that we should, how do I say, because animals by instinct kind of figure things out. Even
Right.
after their parents teach them, they still have to figure things out. And by instincts, I mean, we were raised in a environment of you need education first. You got to go to school first, and then but when you think about everything that's been invented, there was no education for it because it didn't exist. So they had to figure it out beforehand, and then, so that's the way it's supposed to be, really. You get into it, and then when you realize, okay, this isn't right, figure it out. So I think that's amazing.
And you have to be true to yourself. I mean, I'm a big Elvis fan, I always have been. And I mean, if you look back at when he started out, everyone was against him. I mean, literally, they in Florida when he went to perform, I don't know if you know the story or not, but they told him if he shook his hips, they were going to arrest him.
Yeah.
And he went out there and he just moved his little finger, and the girl still went crazy. But he didn't listen to that. He just was, he hadn't been there yet. He invented it, you know what I mean? And he came by at a perfect time when TV was just starting. So, and then that got him out there, and the movies they started filming in color. I mean, a lot of people don't even know this. When Elvis started, stereo wasn't even invented. Everything was still in mono. You know what I mean? So it was right at that cusp. He was right at that cusp, and he just did what he did. And at first, everyone thought it was horrible, but then when they saw the money coming in, they're like, okay.
Well, when you look at the things that you can see on TV now,
Oh my God.
compared to what they thought was obscene, it's like nothing compared to.
Sure.
It's like I don't remember. I remember when I was growing up, there were certain curse words that were either bleeped out, or when you were watching a film, they dubbed over it. Now you can say them, and it's not even a big deal anymore. So it's
Right. Absolutely right.
I always wonder, well, what's going to happen 10, 20 years from now? Is there going to be anything safe? Like, you're going to have to
I don't
literally
think so.
block your television from your children, because PBS will probably be the only thing they can watch.
Yeah.
Compared to now. I'm always when I see certain cartoons, and I'm like, they shouldn't really be saying certain things.
I agree. I know.
Children are watching this, and they're going to repeat it. They don't realize that. So it's amazing how time has changed. So have you been writing during this pandemic?
It's been hard to get into the mood for it. I admit that I have not. I did last week. I'm writing this. Not only do we have the Dragon book, we have 4 sequels planned, and then we have 3 other stories planned. One is a Salem witch trial, one is what I call Space Cop, and one we call Moon Boy. And I'm working on the Space Cop one, and so I pulled it up yesterday or last week, and I started rereading it again to do some more editing. But it has been emotionally hard to get into that frame of mind to do it right now.
Okay.
I've been writing though.
Yeah,
so
he has.
I've been writing. Well, she's also been working. She works.
Yeah.
She still has a day job at UNC, so she's in contract. So when everything was going crazy, she was the one spending millions of dollars buying masks and stuff like that. So for her, that part didn't stop. It actually got more intense, right? So me though, I'm home, so I get up, and I've been really fleshing out my Dragon sequel, where the characters in the book, I literally have I found kind of artwork, that kind of, like, one dragon is an ice dragon, another dragon is, I call him Tank, he doesn't fly, anyway. So I printed these images, and I have them up. I've drawn a map of the entire realm that they're in and stuff. So I'm plotting out my story from beginning to end. So I've been working in it, and in that sense, where with her, what way it worked before, she wrote the entire book, and then she gave it to me. so I had that to go by. I didn't have to worry about where the character's going next or what's going to happen next. You know what I mean? So, and all I did was add a little male perspective and little humor to it, you know, a little color, but it was still her story is her brilliant story. And I just got to be a small part of it. So anyway, so now that I'm taking those characters and I'm throwing them into another realm, another world, I've been working on developing that world, and I may not have every last little, you know, plot, but I want to have you know, my beginning, my middle, and my end, and walk them through that. And I'm more of a pantser type writer, but at the same time, when dealing with this level of fiction, I have to have a little bit of a basis of what I'm doing in my head. Otherwise, I won't know what to do. You know, so that's been coming through for me.
He's writing the second sequel. I have the third and fourth already written that he has to do his part. See, every book I write, it's only halfway because then it has to go through Michael for him to write his part, and then we have a complete story. So the first one I wrote, second one he's writing, third and fourth, I've already written. The Salem witch story, I wrote it, but he's probably going to rewrite it because it was really his idea at first. And the Moon Boy is going to be his story, and then when he writes a story, then I'll take over after he's done and add my perspective to it, and that's how we come up with the unique story that we have, is that we both put the best of both of us into it.
That's amazing.
I've been working on that. I've been working on my singing, different songs that I'm going to be doing, and my singing lessons, and
Writing, you studying writing?
I already said the writing.
No, not that you're doing writing.
Oh, my monologue?
You're studying the classes you're taking.
Oh yeah, I've got classes on you know, writing better sentences or writing better novels, things like that. So I'm been very busy. There's not enough hours in the day, which is my goal. To speak of my goals, my goal is to be able to get up every day, do something that I love to do, and make enough money to keep the lights on. You know what I mean? So and I'm there. You know, I'm very blessed. That's my goal. You know, so I'm not working for anybody else. I'm self-employed basically.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, to me, if I get up and I put on my costume and I go sing Elvis someplace and make some money, I'm not working. It was fun. You know, so
Yeah.
you know, so that's the idea.
So where are you guys located again?
Las Vegas, Nevada.
Vegas, yeah.
Oh, okay. Do they have an estimated date yet of when they plan on someone opening something up?
Actually, they just started. Our mayor here has been going against the governor.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I mean, you think about it. Vegas, you know, we don't have factories producing widgets. We're
Right.
tourists. We need people coming here, and so they have to open those casinos. They have to open up those restaurants. They have to open up those stores. They have to open up those shows, or this town is going to completely die. So you know, that's what they depend on. So you have, you know, all these people that live here. You know, everyone's important. I don't care where you fall in the, you know, I don't care if you're, you know, you're a housekeeper or you're, you know, the manager of the hotel. Everyone in between is very important. And so it's literally just this week, June 4th, just 4th, the casinos are, at least the local ones, are starting to open back up.
They're opening up select ones. They're not opening them all up, but like they're going to open up Cosmopolitan, MGM, and New York. It won't be every hotel, but they'll open up certain ones so that people can start coming back.
So that's already just begun.
Yeah.
So once you're in the clear, you think about doing a book reading or a book signing with at a bookstore.
We just ordered books today so that we can do that.
You plan on having Elvis show up?
Maybe. You never know.
You could write
I
a
actually
song.
thought about that at one.
Yeah, we were going to do that at one, and he's done different events around town. So it may be that we'll have him show up just to get attention. But yeah, we have to, everything's been shut down, but now I'm going to start looking for different events. There's one coming in October, Vegas Valley Book Festival. We'll sign up for that. I'll look for different ones around town, or if we can go, like if there'd be one in Florida where the book is set, I would love to be able to go down to the
Right.
town where the book is set and have a table there. So, but I mean, literally right before this call, I was putting in the credit card information to order the books
Oh, okay.
so we can start selling them.
So were you raised in that town in Florida, or you just chose that town because?
My mother and my sister lived there,
Okay.
and I've been there many times. We were both raised in Chicago.
Okay.
So, but I've been there so many times, I know the town.
Oh, okay. Cool. So it's, I assume, well, I didn't read the synopsis. The Dream of Dragons sounds like, wait, why is this? All right, so we have 2 minutes left. It sounds like it would be set in a fictional, location. Because
Part of the
because-
idea was when you read the book, you don't know that it's an urban fantasy because it's set in Venice, Florida, which is a real town. And this guy finds this girl on the beach. She's naked. She's like a child. She doesn't, like a baby. She doesn't know how to talk, walk, anything. She's just laying there naked, and he finds her. He calls the police, ends up taking custody of her, and starts to teach her. Finds that she learns very fast. He calls her Anne, and so he's kind of bound to take care of her because they kind of said, well, you're responsible.
right.
So as he's trying to teach her to survive, she stays with him, and they develop a relationship, and everything is really good, except every night she has these nightmares of dragons and death and fire every single night, and he can't figure out why. So a lot of the book, as she's learning to be a woman and their relationship is developing, they're also trying to find out why she lost her memory and why she has these dreams.
Okay.
He sees a psychologist, he sees a doctor, and they can't figure it out. And eventually you learn that these dreams are not dreams, they're memories.
Okay.
And we'll leave it at that.
And we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, well, that's the perfect place to do a cliffhanger,
Yes.
because I was like ready for more.
Exactly.
Well, the book is a book about love and sacrifice, and it's based on 1 John, I don't remember the scripture, where there's no greater love than a man should lay down his life for his friend. And the book is, that's the premise of the book, is that Anne has to learn what real sacrifice is
Okay.
and what real love is. And for Henry, the guy who finds her, it's a story of redemption.
Okay.
Henry is a Navy veteran who's lost both his parents and his fiance, and he's just kind of hard against the world. And through Anne, he learns to have faith again.
Okay. That sounds great.
So it's
sounds
Gabriel's
like-
Horns Book. You can get a
Gabriel's
copy of the
Horn
book,
Press.
and then after you read the book, you can have us back on and we can talk about the book.
As a matter of fact, tomorrow night, we're going to be doing that with through Gabriel's Horn Press. We're going to have a book club, and we're going to discuss the book at 5 o'clock. So I'm looking forward to that. But it's a lot of the reviews people are very moved by it. I mean, even though it's a fantasy story and it does involve dragons, there's a human story underneath it that's very moving. And at the end of the story,
It's very, very unexpected.
Very
Yeah,
unexpected,
people are like,
and
wow. So,
and it keeps the end of the story, you're like, I can't put it down. That's what people tell me. I couldn't stop reading. I had to find out what happened.
one lady got in trouble because she wouldn't feed her husband, right? She couldn't start reading the book. So
Yeah, that's right.
and she was mad at us. So
Yeah,
her
and
husband got mad.
one lady told me, she says, I couldn't go to sleep because I had to find out what happened. I couldn't stop reading it. And it's, people remember the characters. One author who had helped us through it, he said that Anne he couldn't get her out of his mind. She was just such a compelling character.
So we'd be very interested in see what you think of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to buy it. It's on Amazon, right?
It is on Amazon, yes.
All right. I will definitely do that.
Well, that's it for today's episode of Writer to Writer Interviews. I hope to see you again when we speak to more writers.
That I'm
We
still
appreciate
learning.
Well,
being able to talk to you.
I'm technologically impaired, so don't feel bad. I'm not getting it. So I can't even spell URL. So
That's a good one. Never heard that one.
That is good.
So is there anything else you would like to say?
Just that it's been a privilege to be able to talk to you, and I look forward to seeing you succeed in your own writing. As I told you during your interview with us, I thought what a intellectual and deep young man you are, and so I look forward to seeing where you go. And I would love to hear your opinion once you get a chance to read it, of what you think about it. But the whole idea of for me, the whole idea of the stories is I want to touch somebody in a way, in an emotional way. You know, I want to pull at your heartstrings.
Okay.
and for me, just in general, not just in writing, but whatever it is that you love, whatever your passion is in life, go for it, and do not let anybody or anything stop you or get in your way.
Mhm.
I literally am developing a lifestyle where I push negative stuff, negative thoughts, negative people out of my life. Not that, I mean, like, not physically, like I have family, but if it's negative, it's like, hey, appreciate your opinion or whatever, and just move on. Don't even get into a debate. Just like, that's not helping me.
Mhm.
You don't have time. You don't have time to dwell on the negative. You don't have time to try to please anybody else. And we could sit here for another 45-minute Zoom thing discussing why people do that and still never come up with an answer.
Right.
I don't think they're bad people. I don't think they're trying. I just they're saying it for one, for a bevy of different reasons. But if it's negative, you just need to just say, hey, appreciate your opinion or your input, and but just push the negative out. You have to teach yourself to do that. Life is way too short. I actually died back in April of 2016. So life, you never know, guys. And then obviously I came back, and here I am. So you just don't know. Tomorrow is not guaranteed.
That's right.
Just enjoy every moment of today. And why would you want to spend any of that time, that precious time, with negative thoughts and so on? I mean, just push them away. I mean, obviously you're going to have to deal with things in life, but deal on the positive. Hey, I can do this, or I'm going to do this. I want to do this, and just do it. Don't worry about if it's good or perfect or the right timing. It's like starting a family. If you wait until you can financially afford everything and you got the best house and the best furniture, you're never going to have any kids. You can have kids because you want to have kids, right? And then you make it work. You make that work within your life. Same thing here. Whatever it is you want to do, go out and do it. And don't let anybody or anything stop you. And you will run into obstacles. You have to go over them. You have to go under them. You have to go around them, or you have to go charge them right through them.
Right.
And the obstacle could be a physical thing. You may get sick, or you may lose your job, and now you're wondering how you're gonna, that sort of thing. I mean, but there'll be a lot of stuff that's gonna try to pull you. That's what happened to me. I was doing comedy in the 70s and 80s, and I had health issues, and then my first wife left me. Things kept pulling me off the stage, and then finally, when all that was done, I said to my bride here, I want to get back on stage again. I have to perform. And here I am doing it. I do stand-up comedy. I do the Elvis thing. I had a couple TV shows where I was ready to do Elvis, and the Elvis people shut me down. So they didn't like what I was doing. But still, I mean, I've been on movie sets, like Godzilla and Jason Bourne. you know, for somebody wanting to be in movies, I can't tell you what a thrill that was. I mean, like, wow, this is so cool. I'm actually here. And not because I'm so talented or whatever, just I got up and I just did it. I made it happen. I let them know, you know, so that would be my encouragement. You know, have a, you know, go for your goal, set a goal, go for it, and be positive, and in every single day.
Hi, I'm Casey Bell, and you're watching another episode of Writer to Writer Interviews. Hi, I'm Casey Bell, and you're watching another episode of Writer to Writer Interviews. I had the honor of meeting and talking with Lauretta and Michael Kehoe, and also